2016, 2017, I made a sculpture, a public art commission that went on the 4th plinth in Trafalgar Square. It's a regular commission that happens every 2 years. It's quite a prestigious thing. It's quite a very visible piece. You are invited to submit a proposal for it, and then you can get shortlisted. And fortunately for me, I was chosen. It was a piece that was a 7-meter high bronze hand doing a thumbs up, except the thumb was elongated. It was called Really Good, and my curious reasoning for making it like that was that the thumb was the indicates how good something is. So if it's a longer thumb, then it must be really good. So it's kind of a strange statement to make, but at the time I described what it was about, in that it was sort of an endorsement of everything. It was some kind of self-fulfilling prophecy to make everything better somehow. I was being ironic, but I sort of realised once I got the commission that actually you have to believe that art makes the world a better place. As an artist, you know, your work has to be some kind of positive intervention in the world. So realising that, I guess it became a more interesting piece in that it was a piece that was sort of simultaneously ironic and sincere at the same time. So yeah, it was a really interesting experience. And like all public artwork, like all artwork in a way, it was sort of a work in progress, meaning that as the context changed, the work changed, and you're never really in control of the context when a work's outside. So it was a really interesting experience, but I spent about 2 years doing that to people. I'm kind of glad that it's not there anymore. It's been replaced by the more recent commission.
So what has happened to
the thumb is, I think there's a plan to sell the thumb to a museum collection, but I think it currently resides somewhere out with the M25 in some cheap storage unit somewhere. Hopefully it's not gone rusty. I guess I first had success with my work more than 20 years ago, so I've been doing exhibitions in museums and stuff, and having a lot of media attention since then. So over the years, you know, I used to really read all the reviews and pay attention, and then after a while I sort of stopped reading reviews. I stopped reading any kind of commentary. Any interview that I did, I just never read any reviews, because I sort of felt like it just wasn't really helpful anymore. It's not really helpful to get a bad review, and it's not really helpful to get a good review. I think you have to, art is so subjective that it's really only your opinion of what you're doing that's important, and I think that you have to be self-critical. And if somebody tells you that your work's really amazing and fantastic, in a way that's not really that helpful, because you've got to believe that it's fantastic. Well, you've got to believe that it's worthwhile yourself. And likewise, if people think it's terrible, it's not really, you know, what are you going to do about that? You're not really going to stop doing it. So I think it's very important to have a dialogue about the work, but actual critics, I mean, critics are kind of artists too. That's their job, to write about stuff and to have an opinion. But you know, the virtue of criticism isn't the opinion itself, it's how that opinion is articulated. So my life's much easier these days. I'm blissfully unaware of any kind of commentary about my work. Don't look at any kind of commentary on social media, for example. It's all transmit only. So don't bother sending me any messages, because I won't respond. I wasn't really ever influenced by cartoonists or cartoons, and it's something that I've sort of come to appreciate as a result of having done it myself, and people suggesting that I look at certain things. I was interested in art when I was a teenager. I loved art. I loved Andy Warhol and Marcel Duchamp and René Magritte and many other artists, and still love art to this day. But I guess I was quite influenced by literature as well. You know, I read, when I was younger, I read William Burroughs and Franz Kafka and all sorts. So I think fine art and literature are really where I come from. I never really had that interest in graphic art, because I never really demonstrated any craft skills in terms of drawing either. So I've never really been interested in having a graphic style, even though I suppose I do have one. But my graphic style is a bit like it's like my handwriting as much as anything else. So that's interesting. I guess I come from a starting point of a conceptual art, of really loving conceptual art, and ideas, and the way that words and images fit together, or the slippage between the two. So that's what I've always been interested in. And even though I like graphic novels and things, they're things that I have come to appreciate as a result of people talking about it to me. I think visual art and the arts are really important to society. I believe in the transformative power of art and the arts to transform people's lives. It sounds like a very grandiose statement, but on a very basic level, a very level that can be demonstrated, art does have a positive impact on people's lives. I was part of the All Parliamentary Committee for Health, Wellbeing and the Arts a couple of years ago, and the evidence that sort of pre-policy document provided was really a real eye-opener. That, for example, people with not just mental health issues, but like chronic pain issues, all sorts of problems, can benefit from engagement with the arts in a way that is quite astonishing, whereby people have less need for medication, people have less need for formal therapy because of engagement with the arts. So I think as human beings we need some form of creative, we need a creative component to our lives, whether we actually participate or whether we just attend things. That's just the way human beings are, and those who don't realise that are making a very grave mistake.